That was a grown man in the stand stealing that hat from a child.
Millionaire is speaking out today after facing backlash for stealing a hat from a child at the U.S. Open this week.
What happens when a single moment on live television flips someone's reputation upside down? 1 second, you're an unknown face in the crowd, and the next, millions of people online are calling you greedy, shameless, and even heartless. That's exactly what happened during one of the biggest tennis tournaments in the world, the US Open, when a seemingly small gesture turned into a global scandal. A tennis player was trying to make a young fan's day, but before the gift could even reach the child's hands, another man snatched it away. The cameras caught everything. The internet erupted, and almost overnight, the man at the center of it all went from being a successful businessman to one of the most mocked figures online. But was this really a case of thoughtless greed? Or is there more to the story than people want to believe? It all started after Polish tennis player Kamil Majchrzak's match. Fresh off a win, he did what many athletes do. He decided to give something back to the fans. He spotted a young boy named Brock near the court and held out his cap, a small but memorable token of appreciation.
Well, the tennis player did ask for the kid to be found. The kid was found, and as I understand it, he brought the kid in and made the kid whole.
The boy leaned forward, his face lighting up as he reached for the gift. But just before it touched his hands, an older man leaned in and grabbed it. The crowd gasped. The boy's expression shifted instantly from joy to confusion and disappointment. That man was later identified as a wealthy Polish CEO. But in that moment, he was just a stranger taking a gift meant for a child. The clip replayed on the stadium screens and then spread like wildfire across social media. People slowed it down, zoomed in, and called out the act as selfish, bizarre, and downright cruel. The video wasn't just being shared, it was being dissected. And as it spread, one question dominated the conversation. Who was this man, and why on earth would he do that? The internet doesn't let mysteries sit for long. Within hours, online sleuths had identified the man as Paweł S., a CEO from Poland who run a paving company called Drogbud. Suddenly, this wasn't just about a random face in the crowd. It was a businessman, a wealthy executive, someone with influence and status. That detail changed everything. People didn't just mock the video, they attached his name and company to it. Memes started to fly, comment sections filled with rage. And when people Googled his company, they didn't see polished websites or corporate accolades. Instead, they saw headlines and viral posts about the hat-snatching incident. For any CEO, that's a nightmare scenario. A brand built over years unraveling because of a 10-second clip. But the internet wasn't done digging. Once his name was public, the backlash took on a new life, and it became personal. While the CEO stayed quiet, the tennis player at the center of it all, Kamil Majchrzak, refused to let the story die on that sour note. He turned to social media and made a public call, asking fans to help him track down the boy who had been left empty-handed. The internet rallied, and soon enough, the young fan Brock was found. Majchrzak invited him to meet in person, signed autographs, and gave him even more memorabilia than the cap he had lost. The boy walked away smiling. His disappointment turned into joy thanks to the player's quick action. The move was widely praised, showing the contrast between the athlete's generosity and the CEO's awkward silence. It painted a clear picture. While one man had turned a happy moment into a controversy, another stepped in to make things right. But just as the story seemed to settle, the CEO finally broke his silence, and what he said raised even more questions than it answered. Days later, the CEO issued a formal statement on his company's website. This was the moment people had been waiting for: an explanation, an apology, maybe even a bit of accountability. He claimed he believed the cap was being handed to him, not the boy, and said his own sons had been asking for autographs earlier, which "No, what are you doing?" But the man ignored him and held on. That didn't look like a misunderstanding. It looked intentional. So when the CEO claimed it was all confusion, the internet didn't buy it. People replayed the footage again and again, comparing his words to the reality, and the gap was impossible to ignore. To many, his apology felt less like an honest confession and more like carefully worded damage control. It wasn't just about the hat anymore. It was about trust. If his version didn't line up with the video, what else was he trying to spin? As if the scandal wasn't bad enough, the viral wave brought with it a flood of rumors. Posts began to circulate claiming he had snapped at the boy, allegedly telling him, "If you were faster, you would have it." Others claimed his legal team was threatening to take action against anyone who criticized him online. These statements spread across Twitter, Facebook groups, and forums as though they were verified fact. But here's the catch: none of it was ever confirmed. The CEO denied all of these claims, saying neither he nor his family had made such comments. Even reputable news outlets flagged them as unverified, but the internet doesn't pause for fact-checking. By the time those clarifications came, the damage was done. His name wasn't just tied to the video anymore. It was tied to a mess of rumors, memes, and angry reactions. In the court of public opinion, he was already guilty, and no carefully worded statement could change that. The fallout was brutal. His company's online presence was hijacked by the scandal. Instead of paving projects or community initiatives, search results showed viral memes and headlines mocking the hat incident. Years of reputation building were undone in days. Even though he insisted he had spent years supporting kids and sponsoring athletes, none of that mattered now. In the public eye, he was the man who stole a cap from a child. Meanwhile, the tennis player continued his tournament, eventually retiring due to an unrelated injury. But the video lived on, endlessly replayed as a kind of cautionary tale. The internet had chosen its villain, and his name was stamped all over it. What could have ended with a simple apology turned into a lesson in how quickly reputations can collapse. In the end, this wasn't just a story about a cap. It was about the speed and power of the internet. A 10-second clip reshaped how millions of people saw one man. It showed how online sleuths can uncover someone's identity in hours, how rumors, true or not, spread like wildfire, and how once your name is tied to a scandal, it's nearly impossible to reclaim it. A boy went home disappointed. A tennis player became a hero for stepping in. And a millionaire CEO found himself branded as greedy in front of the entire world. So the bigger question remains, was this really just a misunderstanding blown out of proportion? Or was it a glimpse of someone's true character caught on camera? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because in the digital age, even the smallest choices can define you.